T.
Miss T. Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
You know, I like doing this stuff. I have lots of opportunity to share with people my story, but when I sit and do these podcasts, I really feel like I could give like insider information and how to help people, not only do some of the things that I've done, but do the things that you really want to do with your life, with your career. And, some of the common questions I get is, how do you do what you do? What inspires you to do what you do? And I think as human beings, as people that are surviving in this world, and some days can be tougher than others, I think we overlook the simple things that cause us to be effective, to be innovative, and that's the ability to create. Now, creativity is a simple word. I think it's watered down a lot because it's thrown around a lot. But I think if you don't continually position yourself in situations, circumstances, and opportunities that force you to be creative, I think you can die on the vine. And what I mean by that is, like a tomato on the vine. If you're not constantly being fed or gifted something that's causing you to evolve and grow, or even something that threatens you or challenges you or someone you love, it doesn't give you the impetus to tap into creativity. And sometimes people live a life or, die from life, not having tapped into the vast potential to create that's already resident in them. And so, I've faced a lot of challenges in building what I've built. I've faced a lot of, really difficult situations financially, relationally, and entrepreneurially. But it's caused me to do something that I rely on daily now. And that's tap into the creativity that's in me to solve the problems that are around me. So I thought today we could tap into that a little bit. When you think of the word creativity, the root word of that is create. And when you look at the original definition of that, 3 words stick out to me when I'm studying it, like in its original raw form. To create, to produce, to make, and to form. And I notice what I'm seeing a lot of today is people want you to produce for them. They want you to make it happen for them. And they want what you form to work for them. And it doesn't work that way. And so, diving into, what I've been gifted to be able to create. I started out doing what I'm doing in a park with just a handful of kids. One of them was my daughter, and she was having some social challenges. And one of the things that, we had going for us is the dance stuff. And so when I first started working with her and 3 of her friends doing dance routines and stuff like that, it didn't occur to me that it would explode into what I'm doing today. I just wanted to help my kid and her friends socially. And so in tapping into, my creativity, it all started with like hip hop dance. This very small seed of hip hop dance, but that was the bit of creativity that I had for the moment of challenge that I was in with my daughter and her friends. And so, fast forwarding a little bit, I started working with not just my daughter and her friends, but their friends' friends. And before you know it, I'm out at the park with all these kids, and they're dancing, and we're on grass, and we were sometimes concrete in the heat. And I knew that, yes, I was being creative in the environment that I was using in order to help these kids come up with routines and do competitions and stuff like that. But I knew that I had to take it seriously, which meant I had to get creative as a businesswoman. And so when I founded my company and started building it, I had to learn a lot. And I didn't learn a lot in a college class. No dig on anybody that goes to college and learn business. I learned business by doing business, and I learned business by doing business badly. And then I learned business by learning how not to do business badly and trying to do it better. I also learned business by, tapping into some of the people that I saw doing business differently around me. But what it did was it caused me to get creative in how I took a model and reshaped it. So again, all that being said, when I started my company, I didn't know that this creative force that I had unearthed in me as it pertains to dance and entrepreneurship could grow into something like what it's grown in today. But I knew that if I just kept problem solving and getting creative in how I problem solve, that I could help some people. So really that's been the driving force. And so when I look at, others that are trying to build something for themselves, build a legacy company, build a community servicing agency, I think sometimes we can get so buried in how somebody else took their steps that we forget that we're creative beings, and sometimes the solution is not outside of you. Sometimes the solution is inside of you, waiting to get outside of you, and you just need the right set of circumstances to unearth it. So attacking things like produce. Whenever you're tapping into creativity, here's an indicator for you to help you see whether or not, you are being creative and it's working. You'll produce something. Multiplication is a natural byproduct of creativity. So if you look at anything around you that is multiplying, there's creativity that's been unearthed by another human being that is causing this thing to multiply and produce. So one of the things I started to see multiply in my organization was the ability to do dance in multiple places. So yes, I started with 4 kids, and then I started, I had 70 kids, but then we started doing dance shows, then we started doing dance competitions, founded a dance day for the state of California, the 5th largest economy in the world. And then I had a building, and then I had competitions teams, and then I went from just doing hip hop to hip hop and breaking to hip hop and capoeira and breaking and African, and so on and so on. So the multiplication factor is a natural byproduct of creativity. So if you are tapping into creativity, not just copycatting, but tapping into creativity, you'll know because it's producing, it's multiplying. The other thing is to make. When I started doing what I'm doing, I'm not playing with you. I couldn't get anybody to understand what I was talking about. I got told, I can't even tell you how many times that I would fail, that no one would do this hip hop stuff. And this is back in the day when it wasn't like mainstream how it is now. But I had to make something that the world hadn't seen yet in business form. So yes, you could make money as a backup dancer. Yes, you could make money as song artist. But taking the movement aspect of it and then building wraparound services and all the supporting entrepreneurial services that complement a dance, making dance a standalone entity where in the past it's been a backup entity or an accessory entity to things like music and film and things like that. Now it's a standalone industry. But back when I started this, it wasn't. And so what I've been able to build with the team and advisors and a lot of prayer and a lot of tears, I've been able to make, using creativity, I've been able to make industry. So now what I've built, it's not something that was built before. It's something that I had to make happen. But creativity and working with people that needed what we were building really was the factor that helped us to be able to make this organization that's now nationwide. And then I think about situations that cause you to be creative. And I don't want to neglect to mention that COVID. Now, I know a lot of not good things happened during the pandemic, but for us, everything that we were doing as a company before was all dance. And in order for you to do dance stuff, you teach in person or in a box or in a room. But when the world shut down, I didn't know how I was going to do that. So I'm sitting in my office and I'm getting call after call about how we can't do what we've been doing for years in person anymore because of COVID pandemic. And I remember thinking, wow, is this it? Am I going to get a job at a corporation or something? Or is this the end of my passion, my project, my thing? And again, creativity kicks in. And I'm reminded, my little spirit is reminded, it's in times like this, times of deficit, times of world challenge, times of war, that millionaires are made, because they got creative during a time when everybody else lost their vision, lost their path, because the times changed and they couldn't change with it. And so immediately we got creative, and I went virtual. I built a platform years before to help a district that didn't have no money. Again, getting creative in how to multiply myself. I made videos, banked them someplace. That one tool became a bridge program for school districts, counties, cities, states across the country. I didn't know. And before you know it, I became a licensor to content that helped people learn social emotional learning at home, not knowing that that's what I was doing, but tapping into the creativity that I had inside of me so I could continue to serve people, because that's my core goal. And then I'll give you the other definition, is to form. You can take something that's already formed, but then you can form something that helps not only other people, but it informs people. I've been able to, use my cultural equity, my life experiences, my hardships, the difficult times, but also the good times, the innovation, the discovery. I've been able to use that to form a new narrative in how people service people. And I know that when you go into certain communities, they use words like, disadvantaged or under-resourced or underserved. And they use those with the narrative that that's a bad thing. I never subscribe to that. I think that I grew up disadvantaged. I grew up under-resourced. I grew up underserved. But you know what that did for me? It made me a highly creative and innovative individual, and it caused me to produce in a way that I'm helping other people create and maintain lifestyles for themselves and their family. So when I say form, what I've been able to build by way of structure. So I just bought, an entire city block that houses 4 buildings that make up 44,000 square feet in Northern California, Sacramento, baby. And in this building, we have multiple podcast studios, dance studios, DJ, academies, art studios, black box theaters, movie theaters, banquet halls, image shop for hair and makeup, fashion shops, cafes, full 2-story commercial kitchens, so that we can do our culinary academy. This is just the building and what it houses. In addition to that, I've developed programs. They call me a creative program engineer for youth and young adults across the country, but I've created programs that through these different spaces in the building, we're able to service kids both in-house and in schools from the top of California to the bottom and across the country. Now, why am I sharing that with you? Because it took a lot of creativity from a girl who grew up disadvantaged, from a girl who grew up under-resourced, from a girl who grew up tech-starved, to be able to come up with ideas and infrastructure, relationships and partnerships that caused her to build programs that actually help people who need the help. Like you could do welfare. I've been on it. I was raised on it. And then, my adult years, I was on it. CalWorks all day long. But that is not a sustaining path. That's not a sustaining channel of resources to help you survive and thrive in life. It was only when I was empowered to produce through the creative ideas that God gifted me that I was really able to see the power of potential that I had to be able to impact not just myself and my family, but families all over the world. So I don't want this to be the I, thing, because I won't, pretend like, all of this I figured out on my own. I had a lot of help. And then I had a lot of help in ways that are unconventional help. Like I didn't have a bunch of people saying, yeah, T, you can do this. It's going to be great. And I did have some people that said that, but I had more people tell me, there's no way you can do this. So if you're hearing that, don't get discouraged. It's fuel. Sometimes there'll be a line drawn in the sand just to see if you'll step over it and jump into that thing that you were created to jump into. Develop that thing that only you were created to develop. Produce that thing that only you, nobody else in the world, but only you were created to produce. or form that thing that only you were gifted and born with the creativity to form. Sometimes that's the challenge you need to activate the creativity you need to push forward the thing that you were sent to this planet to birth. So my hope in always sitting down and doing these things is that I could share a little something at some point that's going to help you unlock the you in you. So take today's creativity lesson, education, rant from T as a challenge to push that thing out we're designed to give to the world. And creativity is your key. Don't minimize the challenging times or the pushback or the blowback. It should cause you to get creative. Not to prove people right, that's naysayers or the critics, but prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. Show them what you're made of. Get creative as a human being. I tell people all the time, oh no, I can make $1 out of 15 cents. One thing I can do is make money multiply. Don't give me $1 because I'm going to turn it into something. But you want to get creative and show the world what you're made of. And again, I say all this, stuff sometimes, and I wonder, is it helping you? Send me a message, a comment, or something letting me know that, yeah, this struck with me and I'm going to share it, or I like this, or I don't understand this. T, can you get with me so I can understand this? I'm totally open for that. But leave some comments. That way, whatever you're getting, it helps other people get whatever they need to get. So be a sharer. Be generous with information, education, and revelation. Be very generous with that. That's what generous, creative people do. And if you're enjoying these podcasts, make sure you like it. Make sure you share it. Make sure if you haven't done it already, subscribe and have other people do it. That way, every single week that I'm sharing this stuff, it's cost me my life to know what I know. It's been the price to pay to accomplish what I've accomplished and continuing to accomplish. I can't even put it in human dollar amounts. But because you're getting this, the goal for me is that you won't make the mistakes that I've made, that you won't step on the landmines that I've stepped on, but you'll go further, faster, and higher than I did because I'm coming back and I'm sharing with you what it's cost me my life to learn and know. So make sure you're liking it, sharing it, subscribing it, and commenting on it. I'll see you again real soon. And remember, get creative.